All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at something that I bet you use every single day, but you might not even realize it.
That's right.
We're talking about cloud computing. Now, you probably think of cloud computing as like, you save a file on Google Drive or you stream a movie on Netflix.
Right.
But cloud computing is so much more than that.
It really is.
It's a huge world. There's all these different branches of cloud computing, each one with a different purpose, different strengths, different weaknesses.
Like a city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a city with different districts.
Exactly. You got it.
So in this deep dive, we're going to be like your tour guide.
Okay.
We're going to take you on a tour of the cloud city. We're going to show you all the different districts, explain what they do,
Awesome.
and why they're important.
I like it. I like the city analogy. I'm going to steal that.
All right. Well, let's jump right in.
Okay.
Okay. So first stop on our tour is the industrial district.
Okay.
This is where we find infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. Have you ever had to like set up a website or an app or like a whole network of computers?
Yeah, I've had to do that.
It's a lot of work.
Wow.
You need to buy servers, you need to get all the hardware and software, you got to set it all up, you got to maintain it.
Yeah. It's a nightmare and expensive, right?
It's super expensive. And what if you like suddenly need more computing power,
Right.
Like your business is growing really fast. Or what if you don't need as much anymore? What if you just wasted all that money on all this expensive hardware that you don't even need?
Right. You're stuck with it.
Exactly. So that's where IaaS comes in.
Okay.
IaaS is like renting instead of buying.
Okay.
So instead of buying all this expensive hardware and software, you basically just rent it from a company like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud. They have all the servers, they have all the storage, all the networking, everything.
Mhm.
And you just pay for what you use.
So it's like kind of like instead of owning a car, you're using like a ride sharing service or something. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like renting a car. You only pay for it when you need it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, yeah. So what are some of the advantages of doing this? Like, I mean, is it really that much cheaper?
Well, it can be a lot cheaper because you don't have to buy all this expensive hardware up front.
Yeah, right.
And you don't have to pay for like a bunch of IT people to maintain it all.
Mm-hmm.
And you can scale up or scale down really easily. So you can, add more servers if you need them,
Right.
take them away if you don't. And it's way more flexible.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. It sounds like it's a no-brainer for businesses, especially like small businesses or businesses that are, growing really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's been a real game changer for a lot of companies.
Cool. So like what about downsides though?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, there's some downsides. Like, you're relying on a third-party provider.
Right. You don't have total control.
Exactly. You don't have total control. So, like, if they have an outage, you're out of luck,
Yeah.
and you have to make sure that they have good security,
Right. Security is important.
because if they don't, then, your data could be at risk.
Yeah.
And even though it can be cheaper than owning your own infrastructure, it's not always cheaper.
Yeah.
If you use a lot of resources, it can actually get pretty expensive. So you got to be careful.
Right. Gotcha.
So, there are definitely some things to think about before you go all in on IaaS. But for a lot of businesses, it's a really great option.
Cool. So let's say we've got our infrastructure set up now, with our IS and everything. What's next?
Well, next, we need a place to build our apps and our software.
Okay.
So we're going to head over to the construction zone.
Construction zone.
Yeah, the construction zone.
Okay.
This is where we find platform as a service, or PaaS.
Pause.
So PaaS is basically a platform that gives you everything you need to build, test, and deploy your applications
Okay.
without having to worry about managing the underlying infrastructure. So, like, remember how with IaaS you were renting the servers and the storage and all that?
Right.
With PaaS, you don't even have to think about that.
Oh, wow.
The PaaS provider takes care of all that for you.
Okay.
So you can just focus on building your app. It's like walking into a recording studio, right?
Okay.
And they've got all the instruments there. They got the microphones, the mixing board. All you got to do is like bring the music.
Right. So like you're the artist and they're the, the producer or the sound engineer.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of great PaaS providers out there like Heroku, Google App Engine, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, just to name a few.
Yeah. So this is like where you'd use like a programming language and like write the code for your app.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So this is really for like developers then.
Yeah, PaaS is definitely geared towards developers.
Okay. But like why is it such a big deal though? Like why is PaaS so important?
Well, because it makes it so much easier and faster to build and deploy applications.
Okay.
Like, you don't have to spend all this time setting up servers and configuring networks and all that stuff.
Right.
You can just focus on writing code.
And then, your app just like magically appears on the internet.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's obviously a little bit more to it than that, but yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
Cool.
So Pace has been a really big driver of innovation in the tech world.
Makes sense.
It's made it possible for a lot of small companies and startups to, like, build really complex applications that they never would have been able to build before.
So like a lot of the apps that we use every day were probably built using Pace.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of mobile apps, online games, even some enterprise software, it's all being built using Pace.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got our infrastructure, we've got our platform. Now let's head to the entertainment district.
The entertainment district. What is that?
This is where we find software as a service, or SaaS.
Sauce.
Now, this is probably the branch of cloud computing that you're most familiar with, even if you don't realize it.
Okay.
So SaaS is basically software that's delivered over the internet. You don't have to download it, you don't have to install it. You just log in and use it.
So like Gmail's an example of that.
Yeah, Gmail is a great example of SaaS.
Okay.
So it's Netflix, Dropbox, Salesforce, Office 365, all these things.
Right.
And SaaS is super popular because it's so convenient, right? You don't have to worry about updates or backups or any of that stuff. The SaaS provider takes care of all of that for you.
Right. It's just always there.
Exactly. It's always there. And you can access it from anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection.
Okay, but what about I guess the potential downsides? Is there like a risk that you're giving up like too much control over your own data, or, is there like a security risk there?
Yeah, so that's definitely something to be aware of. You are trusting a third party with your data.
Right.
So you got to make sure that you trust that provider and that they have good security practices in place.
Right. Makes sense.
But overall, SaaS it's a really great way to get access to software without having to worry about all the hassle of installing and maintaining it yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely convenient.
Okay, so we've been to the industrial district, the construction zone, the entertainment district. Now let's head over to the, I don't know, let's call it the workshop, okay?
A workshop.
This is where we find function as a service, or FACES.
Think face.
And this one's a little bit more technical, but stick with me, okay?
Okay.
So with FACE, instead of deploying an entire application, you just upload individual functions, or like little pieces of code that perform specific tasks.
Okay, so like each function has one job.
Exactly. One job.
Okay.
And these functions are triggered by events.
Events, like what kind of events?
Well, like it could be something like a new file being uploaded, or like a user clicking a button, or even something like a change in temperature. Okay, and then what happens?
So when the event happens, the function runs, it does its job, and then it shuts down.
Oh, okay.
And you only pay for the time that the function is actually running.
Oh, that's pretty efficient.
Super efficient.
Okay.
So like, for example, let's say you have a website that lets users upload photos.
Okay.
So you could use Famous to create a function that automatically resizes the photo to different sizes so it looks good on different devices.
Okay. So every time someone uploads a picture, it automatically gets like shrunk or resized. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to worry about running a server 24/7 just to do that one little task.
Right, right.
You just use Famous and the function only runs when it's needed.
So like this is good for like automating things.
Yeah. It's great for automating things
Right.
like, image processing, data analysis, setting notifications, all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Okay, so we've talked about the big four branches of cloud computing: IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and Phase.
Right.
But those aren't the only ones.
Oh, there's more. Oh yeah, there's a lot more.
Okay.
Like storage as a service, or STES. This is what lets us store all of our data in the cloud, like, on Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever.
Right.
And then there's security as a service, or SECI.
SecHus, okay.
This provides security tools and services like, firewalls, intrusion detection, things like that.
Okay, so like this is what keeps our data safe in the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's AI as a service, or AIaaS.
Yes.
This gives you access to AI tools and services so you can build chatbots or do image recognition or whatever.
Okay.
And then there's database as a service, or DBI.
DBIS, yeah, okay.
This lets you manage your databases in the cloud.
Wow, so many different flavors of cloud computing.
There's a lot, right? And there are even more that we didn't even mention. And new ones are popping up all the time.
Right, because technology always, changes and adapts and
Exactly. The cloud is constantly evolving. It's a really dynamic field. So who knows what the future holds?
yeah, it's exciting.
It is really exciting.
So, after learning all of this about cloud computing,
Hmm.
what do you think is going to be the biggest game changer in the future? What should people be on the lookout for?
That's a great question. Um, I think AI is going to play a huge role in the future of cloud computing.
Okay.
We're already seeing that with AIs, but I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
So are we going to have AI powered everything in the cloud?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Like, AI-powered security tools,
Yeah.
AI-powered databases, AI-powered everything.
Wow.
And I think that's going to make the cloud even more powerful and more efficient.
Yeah.
And it's going to lead to some really amazing new innovations that we can't even imagine yet.
Yeah, well, that's what makes technology so cool.
Exactly.
We don't know what the future holds, but we know it's going to be interesting.
That's right.
Well, thanks for the tour of the Cloud City. I feel like I've learned a lot today.
Yeah, me
This
too.
has been really fun.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We hope you learned something new about cloud computing. And, think about it. Think about what role the cloud is going to play in your life in the future.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that AI. It's going to be everywhere.
It is. All right. See you next time.